You'll be serving drinks tonight, Jennifer. Try not to embarrass us more than you already have. My mother's words hit like a slap, but I kept my face neutral as she thrust the black polyester uniform into my hands. The fabric felt cheap between my fingers. Nothing like the designer gowns hanging in Robin's closet upstairs. My name is Jennifer, and I'm the family disappointment. At 28, I work as a social worker helping kids in foster care, while my older sister Robin runs our family's charitable foundation and gets praised for saving the world. Tonight was supposed to be Robin's night, the annual Harvey Foundation Gala, where 300 of the city's elite would toast her humanitarian efforts. Instead, I'd be carrying their champagne. The other waitstaff will show you what to do, Mom continued, not even looking at me. She was adjusting her diamond necklace in the hallway mirror, preparing for her grand entrance. Just blend in. Don't draw attention to yourself. Understood. I folded the uniform carefully. What time should I arrive? 6 sharp. The guests start arriving at 7. She finally turned, her eyes scanning me with the same disappointment I'd seen my entire life. And Jennifer? Fix your hair. You look like you just rolled out of bed. I touched my ponytail self-consciously. I'd actually spent an hour getting ready, but nothing I did ever met her standards. Dad appeared in the doorway, adjusting his cufflinks. Alan Harvey, real estate mogul and pillar of the community, barely acknowledged my existence these days. Is she briefed? He asked Mom, like I wasn't standing right there. She knows what's expected. Good. Tonight's important for Robin. The mayor's coming, 3 city council members, half the hospital board. We can't afford any. He gestured vaguely in my direction. Complications. There won't be any complications, I said quietly. He grunted and walked away. Mom followed without another word, leaving me alone in the marble foyer of the house I grew up in, but never really belonged to. I climbed the stairs to my old bedroom, now Mom's craft room, and changed into the uniform. The skirt was too short, the blouse too tight. Perfect. Nothing said family embarrassment, quite like an ill-fitting waitress outfit at your sister's triumph. My phone buzzed. A text from Yvette, my best friend and fellow social worker. You sure about tonight? I typed back quickly. 6 months of work. Not backing down now. Your funeral. I'll be monitoring from home. Good luck. I slipped the phone into my pocket and checked my reflection one more time. Tonight, everyone would see Robin for who she really was. They'd see the golden child's true face, and they'd understand why I'd spent half a year digging through financial records, following paper trails, and documenting every lie. Downstairs, I could hear Robin's laughter echoing from the living room. She was probably getting ready with her styling team. Yes, she had a styling team for a charity event. I crept to the top of the stairs and listened. The tribute video is going to be perfect, Robin was saying. I can't wait for everyone to see it. You deserve all the recognition, came another voice. Male. Familiar. My stomach dropped. Brian. I peered around the corner and saw him adjusting Robin's necklace, his hands gentle on her shoulders. My ex-boyfriend of 3 years, now playing devoted escort to my sister. The same Brian who used to tell me I was too idealistic, too focused on lost causes, instead of building a real career. You're going to change so many lives with this foundation, he murmured against her ear. Robin preened under his attention. I already have. The children's shelter alone has helped over 200 kids this year. I almost laughed. If only they knew where that shelter money actually went. Jennifer! Mom's voice cut through my eavesdropping. Stop lurking and get to the venue. The catering manager needs to brief you. I straightened my shoulders and walked downstairs, past Robin and Brian's little love fest. Robin looked stunning in emerald green silk. Her blonde hair swept into an elegant updo. She glanced at me and smirked. Oh, Jen, you look appropriate. Brian had the decency to look uncomfortable. Hey, Jennifer. Brian. I kept walking toward the door. Wait. Robin's voice stopped me. I just want to say thank you for helping out tonight. I know this isn't exactly your scene, but family supports family, right? The irony was suffocating. Right. Family supports family. I left them there, basking in their perfect little bubble. They had no idea what was coming. Tonight, the Harvey family's golden child would fall, and I'd be the one holding the knife. The grand ballroom at the Meridian Hotel buzzed with pre-event energy. Crystal chandeliers cast warm light over round tables draped in white linen, each centerpiece a small fortune in white roses and baby's breath. I stood near the kitchen doors with the other waitstaff, clutching my serving tray like a shield. "You're the Harvey girl, right?" The catering manager, a harried woman named Susan, looked me up and down. "Your mother said you'd help out tonight." "That's right. Good. We're short-staffed. You'll work the VIP section, tables 1 through 8. Those are the big donors, so smile and be invisible." "Got it?" "Got it." Susan handed me a name tag that read "Staff" and pointed toward the main floor. "Cocktail hour starts in 20 minutes. Don't mess up." I pinned the tag to my blouse and surveyed the room. Table 3. That's where my parents would sit with the mayor and his wife. Table 1 was reserved for Robin and her inner circle, including Brian. The head table, naturally, where she'd hold court all evening. My phone vibrated. "Yvette. Status report?" I typed back. "In position. Video check in 10. The AV booth sat elevated at the back of the ballroom, overlooking the entire event. During Robin's speech, they'd play the tribute video on the massive screens flanking the stage. What the audience expected was a heartwarming montage of Robin's charitable work. What they'd get instead was 6 months of evidence documenting her embezzlement. "Jennifer?" I spun around. Ruby, one of the regular waitresses, stood behind me holding a tray of champagne flutes. "You're Alan Harvey's daughter, right? The one who works with kids?" "That's me." Ruby smiled. "I heard about your work at the youth center. My nephew was in foster care. People like you saved his life." Before I could respond, the ballroom doors opened and guests began flowing in. The city's elite in their designer gowns and tailored tuxedos, air-kissing and networking with practiced ease. I grabbed a tray of champagne and melted into the background. "Jennifer Harvey! Oh my God, is that really you?" I turned to find Melissa, a girl from high school, approaching with a predatory smile. She'd been Robin's friend back then, part of the popular crowd that treated me like furniture. "Hi, Melissa. I heard you were working with disadvantaged children now? How noble." Her tone dripped condescension. "Robin always said you had a soft heart. Too soft for the real world, but still. Someone has to do it. Of course, we need people willing to sacrifice for others." She plucked a champagne flute from my tray without thanking me. "I'm in marketing now. Just landed the Peterson account. You know, the hotel chain. Anyway, I should find Robin. This is her big night." She glided away, leaving me invisible again. Perfect. I worked my way through the crowd, serving drinks and listening to conversations. The usual gossip. Who was sleeping with whom? Which charity board had the most drama? Whose kid got into which private school? These people lived in a bubble, completely disconnected from the kids I worked with every day. "Champagne?" I offered my tray to a group near table 5. "Thank you, dear." An older woman with silver hair took a glass. Such a wonderful event. Robin Harvey is a saint, truly. The work she's done with homeless children. "Absolutely inspiring," her companion agreed. "My daughter volunteers at the shelter sometimes. Says Robin is there constantly, hands-on with every program." I kept my expression neutral. Robin hadn't set foot in that shelter in over a year. The director told me she only showed up for photo opportunities. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Kevin, the investigative journalist I'd been working with. Board member asking questions about accounts. Someone might be onto us. My blood chilled. I stepped into an alcove and typed back, "Which board member?" "Atticus Stone. Financial advisor. Wants to review quarterly reports. Shit. Atticus knew the Foundation's books better than anyone. If he started digging... Ladies and gentlemen, the MC's voice boomed over the sound system. Please take your seats. We'll begin our program in 5 minutes. I needed to check the AV booth now. I slipped through the crowd toward the back of the room, but a familiar voice stopped me cold. Jennifer. Brian stood in my path, looking uncomfortable in his tuxedo. Up close, I could see the guilt in his eyes. We need to talk. I'm working. 5 minutes, please. Before I could answer, Robin appeared at his side like a heat-seeking missile. Her smile was razor-sharp. There you are, darling. And Jennifer, how are you holding up? Not too overwhelmed, I hope. I'm fine. Good. Brian was just telling me how proud he is of what I've accomplished. Weren't you, sweetheart? Brian's jaw tightened. Robin, maybe we should... Should what? Her voice carried a warning. Jennifer understands how important tonight is. Don't you, sister? The word sister sounded like an insult coming from her lips. I understand perfectly. Robin's smile widened. Wonderful. Now, Brian and I need to take our seats. The program's about to start. She linked her arm through his and pulled him away, but not before Brian shot me one last look over his shoulder. Warning? Apology? I couldn't tell. I had 3 minutes to reach the AV booth and confirm everything was in place. 3 minutes before Robin's perfect world came crashing down. I slipped through the service corridor behind the ballroom, my heart hammering against my ribs. The AV booth was tucked away on the mezzanine level, accessible through a narrow staircase marked Authorized Personnel Only. The door was unlocked. Inside, 2 technicians hunched over a control panel covered in switches and monitors. Multiple screens showed different camera angles of the ballroom below. Excuse me, I said, stepping inside. I'm with the Harvey Foundation. Just need to double-check the tribute video file. The younger tech, maybe 25 with thick glasses, looked up. Yeah, we tested it earlier. Should be good to go. Mind if I take a quick look? My boss is paranoid about technical glitches. He shrugged and pointed to a laptop connected to the main system. It's queued up there. Files called Robin Tribute Final. I leaned over the laptop, my hands trembling slightly as I clicked on the file. The video opened, and my stomach dropped. This wasn't my file. This was the real tribute video, full of glowing testimonials and carefully staged shots of Robin with photogenic children. Someone had switched it back. Everything okay? The tech asked. Perfect, I lied, my mind racing. Just wanted to make sure the audio levels were right. I backed toward the door, pulling out my phone. I needed to text Yvette, but before I could type anything, footsteps echoed in the corridor outside. Told you, I handled it personally, a familiar voice was saying. Robin. I pressed myself against the wall beside the door, holding my breath. Through the crack, I could see her approaching with someone. A man in an expensive suit I didn't recognize. The video's been verified, Robin continued. Nothing to worry about. Good, because if there were any irregularities in tonight's presentation, it would reflect poorly on all of us. They passed by without seeing me. I waited until their footsteps faded, then slipped out and headed back downstairs. My phone buzzed with a text from Ruby. Looking for you. Need help in the kitchen. I found Ruby near the service entrance, loading champagne flutes onto a tray. Thank God, she said. We're swamped. Can you take these to table 12? Ruby, I need a favor. Can you keep an eye on the AV booth for me? Make sure nobody goes up there who shouldn't? She paused, studying my face. You okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. Just family drama. You know how it is. Unfortunately, yeah. She nodded. I'll watch the stairs. But you owe me the story later. I grabbed the champagne tray and headed back into the ballroom. The lights had dimmed for the program, and guests were settling into their seats. On stage, The MC was introducing the evening's sponsors. My phone vibrated. Kevin. Stone's asking for emergency board meeting tomorrow. Something spooked him. I typed back quickly. Video compromised. Need backup plan. What kind of backup? Before I could answer, I spotted Brian near the bar. Alone. Robin was at the head table, basking in applause as her name was mentioned. This was my chance. I approached him carefully. Brian. He turned, relief flooding his face. Jennifer, thank God. We need to talk. About what? About what you're planning. I know you, remember? You're up to something. I don't know what you mean. He grabbed my arm gently. Don't lie to me. I've seen the way you've been watching Robin tonight. The way you've been watching everyone. You're planning something big. I pulled free. Even if I were, why would you care? You made your choice. It's not that simple, isn't it? You dumped me for my sister. Pretty straightforward. His face flushed. I didn't dump you for Robin. I dumped you because you were obsessed with fighting battles you couldn't win. You were killing yourself trying to save everyone else. And now you're with someone who doesn't fight at all? Robin fights. She just fights smarter. I almost laughed. Is that what you call it? What's that supposed to mean? Before I could answer, the lights dimmed further and the MC's voice boomed across the room. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the woman of the hour, the heart and soul of the Harvey Foundation, Robin Harvey. Applause erupted as Robin glided onto the stage in her emerald gown. She looked radiant under the spotlights, every inch the humanitarian princess. Thank you, she said into the microphone, her voice warm and humble. Thank you all for being here tonight, for supporting our mission, for believing in the power of compassion. More applause. I felt sick. Before we continue, Robin said, I'd like to acknowledge my family. My parents, Alan and Monica Harvey, whose vision made this foundation possible. The spotlight found my parents at table 3. Mom dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. And my sister Jennifer, who's here tonight helping our wonderful catering staff. Jennifer works with disadvantaged children, and while we may have chosen different paths, I'm proud of her dedication to service. The spotlight swung toward me. Every eye in the room followed. I stood frozen, champagne tray in hand, as polite applause rippled through the crowd. Now, Robin continued as the spotlight returned to her, I'd like to share a special video tribute that captures the heart of our work together. The screens on either side of the stage flickered to life. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Check your email, now. A friend. I fumbled for my phone, opening my email app. The most recent message had no subject line, just an attachment labeled, Robin Reel Tribute, MP4. On stage, Robin was still speaking, building up to the video presentation. I had maybe 30 seconds before they rolled the footage. I looked up at the AV booth. Ruby was there, standing guard just like she'd promised. She caught my eye and nodded. Time to improvise. I set down my champagne tray and moved toward the service corridor, phone clutched in my sweaty palm. The email attachment was still downloading. My connection was spotty in the ballroom. Jennifer. I spun around. Atticus Stone stood behind me, his silver hair perfectly styled, his expression unreadable. The foundation's financial advisor looked like he'd stepped out of a boardroom even at a charity gala. Mr. Stone. Enjoying the evening? We need to talk. Privately. My mouth went dry. I'm working right now. This can't wait. He gestured toward a quiet alcove near the coat check. Please. I followed him, my legs feeling like jelly. On stage, Robin was still building up to the video presentation, her voice carrying across the ballroom. I've been reviewing the Foundation's quarterly reports, Atticus said without preamble. There are some discrepancies. I wouldn't know anything about that. Wouldn't you? His pale eyes studied my face. You've been asking questions, making inquiries about account transfers, vendor payments. My assistant mentioned you called 3 times last month. Shit. I'd been careful, but not careful enough. I was researching for a project at work. We partner with several foundations. Cut the bullshit, Jennifer. His voice was quiet but sharp. I know what you found because I found it too. The question is, what are you planning to do about it? My phone buzzed. The download was complete. I don't know what you mean. Atticus stepped closer. Your sister has been skimming money from the Children's Shelter Fund for 18 months. Shell companies, fake invoices, the whole 9 yards. She's stolen over $200,000. Then why haven't you reported it? Because I discovered it 3 days ago, and I've been trying to figure out how deep this goes. He paused. But you've known longer, haven't you? On stage, Robin's voice grew more animated. And now, please join me in celebrating the incredible work we've accomplished together. The screens flickered, preparing to display the tribute video. Mr. Stone, I need to... She's not working alone, he interrupted. The transactions required board-level authorization codes. Someone else is involved. My blood turned to ice. Who? I'm still investigating. But Jennifer, if you're planning some kind of public exposure tonight, you need to know that this could destroy more than just Robin. The foundation, your parents' reputation, dozens of legitimate programs, and the kids who aren't getting help because she stole their money? His expression softened slightly. I'm not defending her. I'm trying to minimize collateral damage. Ladies and gentlemen, Robin's voice rang out, please direct your attention to the screens. I looked up. The tribute video was starting. Soft music played as images of smiling children filled the screens. But this was the sanitized version. Robin's version. My phone showed the downloaded file was ready. I had maybe 2 minutes before the video ended, and the moment passed forever. I have to go, I told Atticus. Jennifer, wait. But I was already moving, pushing through the crowd toward the service stairs. Ruby saw me coming and stepped aside as I bounded up to the AV booth. Hey! The tech with glasses looked up as I burst through the door. You can't be in here during the presentation. Emergency, I panted, holding up my phone. The client wants to add something to the end of the video. Last-minute addition. We can't interrupt a live presentation. Please. My boss will fire me if this doesn't get added. The older technician, a guy with graying temples, looked sympathetic. What kind of addition? Just a short clip. 30 seconds max. Can you cue it up to play right after the current video ends? He hesitated. I don't know. Look, I'll take full responsibility. Just plug in my phone and add the file to the end of the sequence. On the monitors, I could see the tribute video was halfway through. Robin stood beside the screen, beaming as footage of her cutting ribbons and posing with children played out. Fine, the older tech said, but this is on you. He connected my phone to the system and pulled up the file. What's it called? Robin Reel Tribute MP4. His fingers flew over the keyboard, adding the file to the presentation queue. There. It'll play automatically when the current video ends. Thank you. I backed toward the door, my heart pounding so hard I was sure everyone could hear it. On the monitors, the sanitized tribute was winding down, showing Robin surrounded by grateful families and community leaders. Jennifer! Brian's voice made me freeze. He was standing in the doorway, his face flushed like he'd run up the stairs. What are you doing here? I asked. Stopping you from making the biggest mistake of your life. The techs looked between us, confused. On the monitors, the tribute video was reaching its crescendo. Sweeping shots of the foundation's headquarters, testimonials from board members, Robin's acceptance speech from some humanitarian award. You don't understand, I said. I understand perfectly. You want to hurt Robin because you think she hurt you. But this isn't the way. She stole money from children, Brian. His face went pale. What? $200,000. Maybe more. Money that was supposed to help kids in foster care, kids in shelters. She's been stealing it for over a year. That's impossible. Robin would never. The evidence is in that file. I pointed at the monitor showing my video queued up next. In about 30 seconds, everyone in that ballroom is going to see exactly who your girlfriend really is. Brian stared at the screen, then at me. You're serious. Dead serious. On the main monitor, the tribute video was ending. Robin's face filled the screen in a final, glowing close-up as inspirational music swelled. Jennifer, Brian said quietly, if you do this, there's no going back. I know. The music faded. The screen went black for a moment. Then my video began to play. The screen filled with a spreadsheet. Column after column of numbers, account transfers, dates. The ballroom fell silent as guests squinted at the financial data, confused murmurs rippling through the crowd. What the hell is this? The younger tech whispered. On stage, Robin's smile faltered. She glanced back at the screens, then at the AV booth, her face a mask of growing panic. The spreadsheet dissolved into a recording. Grainy security footage from what looked like an office. Robin sat at a desk, talking on the phone. The audio was crystal clear. Just transfer it to the Meridian account like we discussed. Yes, the Children's Shelter Fund. No one checks those numbers closely. Gasps echoed through the ballroom. Robin grabbed the microphone. There's been some kind of technical error, but the video kept playing. More footage, more phone calls. Robin's voice filled the room. The beauty of charity work is that people trust you completely. They never question where the money actually goes. Turn it off, Brian shouted at the technicians. Turn it off now! The older tech was frantically pressing buttons. I can't. The file's locked into the sequence. On the monitors, bank statements appeared. Highlighted transfers showed money flowing from the Harvey Foundation's children's programs into accounts labeled Meridian Consulting and Bright Star Services. Those are shell companies, Atticus's voice came from behind us. He'd followed Brian up to the booth. I traced them yesterday. They don't exist. The ballroom erupted. Guests were on their feet, pointing at the screens, voices rising in shock and outrage. Camera phones appeared, recording everything. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain calm. The MC tried to regain control, but his voice was drowned out. On stage, Robin was backing away from the microphone, her face white as her dress. Mom had risen from table 3, one hand pressed to her chest. Dad sat frozen, staring at the screens in disbelief. The video shifted to audio recordings, phone calls between Robin and someone with a gravelly voice. How much this time? The voice asked. 50,000. The Christmas drive brought in more than expected. Beautiful. Same split as before? Of course. 60-40, your favor. Pleasure doing business, Robin. Jennifer, what have you done? Brian's voice was barely a whisper. The final segment began playing. Hidden camera footage of Robin in what looked like a parking garage, handing an envelope to a man in a baseball cap. The timestamp showed it was from just 2 weeks ago. This is everything from the Halloween fundraiser, Robin's voice said clearly. 43,000. You're a goddamn artist, the man replied, counting the cash. Kids Cancer Fund? Homeless youth program. Even more heartstring tugging. The man laughed. You're going straight to hell, lady. Only if I get caught. The video ended. The screens went black. The ballroom exploded into chaos. Guests were shouting. Security guards were moving toward the stage, and reporters, somehow there were reporters, were pushing forward with cameras rolling. Robin Harvey, someone yelled. Is this footage authentic? Robin grabbed the microphone again, her composure completely shattered. This is some kind of setup. Someone's trying to frame me. Then explain the bank records, a voice called from the crowd. I can explain everything. You can explain it to the police. I looked down at the ballroom floor. Mom had collapsed into her chair, Dad's arm around her shoulders. Their faces showed pure devastation. Not just shock, but the crushing realization that their golden child was a fraud. "We need to get out of here," Brian said, grabbing my arm. "Now." "Why?" "This is what she deserves. Because in about 5 minutes, this place is going to be crawling with cops and reporters, and you're going to be the prime suspect for how this footage got here." He was right. I could already see security guards talking into their radios, scanning the crowd. It wouldn't take long for them to trace the video back to the AV booth. "Jennifer Harvey." Robin's voice cut through the chaos like a knife. She was pointing directly at the AV booth, her face twisted with rage. "My sister. She did this. She's the one who—" The microphone cut out as security reached the stage, but the damage was done. Every eye in the ballroom turned toward the booth. Toward me. "Move!" Atticus pushed past us toward the door. "Service exit, now." We stumbled down the stairs, the sounds of chaos growing louder behind us. Shouts, camera flashes, the squawk of police radios. Ruby was waiting at the bottom of the stairs, her face pale. "Holy shit, Jennifer. What did you just do?" "What needed to be done?" "The cops are here," she said. "Front and back entrances. You need to go." Brian grabbed my hand. "Come on. I know another way out." "Why are you helping me?" He looked back at me, his eyes filled with something I couldn't identify. "Because you were right. About everything." We ran through the service corridor as sirens wailed outside. Behind us, I could hear Robin's voice rising above the crowd, shrill and desperate, still trying to explain away the unexplainable. But it was too late. The truth was out, and there was no putting it back. The Harvey family's golden child had finally fallen, and I was the one who pushed her. We burst through the hotel's loading dock exit into the cold night air. Police cars lined the street, their red and blue lights painting the building in alternating colors. News vans were already pulling up. Someone had tipped off the media. "This way," Brian said, pulling me toward the parking garage across the street. "Wait." I stopped breathing hard. "I need to know something. How long have you known?" "Known what?" "About Robin. About what she was doing." Brian's face crumpled. "I suspected something was off about 3 weeks ago. She got a call during dinner, stepped outside to take it. When she came back, she had an envelope full of cash." "And you didn't say anything?" "I asked her about it. She said it was a donation from someone who preferred to give cash for tax reasons. It sounded plausible." "But you didn't believe her." "I wanted to believe her." He ran his hands through his hair. "God, Jennifer, I wanted to believe her so badly. She was everything you weren't. Polished, connected, successful. At least, that's what I thought." A police officer rounded the corner, scanning the area with a flashlight. We ducked behind a parked car. "We can't stay here," Brian whispered. My phone buzzed. "Yvette. Holy shit. It's all over Twitter. Robin Harvey scandal is trending. Are you okay?" I typed back quickly. "Alive. We'll call later." "Jennifer!" The voice echoed from the hotel entrance. Robin stood in the doorway, flanked by 2 police officers. Her perfect hair was disheveled, her makeup smeared. She looked like a completely different person from the poised humanitarian who'd taken the stage an hour ago. "I know you're out here," she screamed. "You vindictive little bitch! You destroyed everything." One of the officers tried to calm her down, but she shook him off. 20 years of work, 20 years of building something meaningful, and you destroyed it in 5 minutes. Meaningful? I stepped out from behind the car before Brian could stop me. "You stole money from homeless children." Robin's face twisted with rage. "I took what I deserved. Do you know how much work I put into that foundation? How many hours? How many sacrifices? Sacrifices!" I walked closer, my fear replaced by pure anger. "The only sacrifice was made by the kids who didn't get help because you were lining your own pockets. You have no idea what you're talking about. The foundation helped thousands of people." With money that wasn't yours. It was my foundation, my vision, my connections, my reputation that built it. The police officers were trying to intervene, but Robin was beyond reason. You were always jealous, she continued, her voice rising to a shriek. Always bitter that I was successful while you were playing social worker with your little lost causes. Those little lost causes are real children with real problems. Children who needed the money you stole. I didn't steal anything. I earned it. By lying to everyone who trusted you. Robin lunged toward me, but the officers caught her arms. You're going to pay for this. I'll sue you for defamation, for invasion of privacy, for what? Telling the truth? Ladies, that's enough. The older officer, a sergeant by his stripes, stepped between us. Ms. Harvey, you need to come with us for questioning. I'm not going anywhere until she admits what she did. Ma'am, you're not helping your case here. More police cars arrived, followed by news crews. Reporters were setting up cameras, preparing for live broadcasts. I could see the hotel's ballroom through the windows, guests streaming out, many of them on their phones, probably calling their lawyers or publicists. Jennifer Harvey? A detective approached, badge visible on his jacket. I'm Detective Morrison. We need to ask you some questions about the video that was shown tonight. I want a lawyer. That's your right. But I should tell you, we've already spoken to the AV technicians. They've confirmed that you provided the video file. Brian stepped forward. She was exposing criminal activity. That's not a crime. Depends on how the evidence was obtained, Morrison replied. Ms. Harvey, how did you get that footage? Before I could answer, Atticus appeared at my elbow. Don't say another word, Jennifer. I've called my attorney. He's on his way. And you are? Atticus Stone, financial advisor for the Harvey Foundation. I can confirm that the allegations in that video are accurate. I've been investigating the same financial discrepancies for the past week. Morrison's eyebrows rose. You have documentation? Extensive documentation. Bank records, transaction histories, correspondence. Ms. Robin Harvey has been embezzling foundation funds for at least 18 months. That's a lie, Robin screamed from the police car where they'd finally managed to get her seated. He's part of the conspiracy. Ma'am, please calm down, the sergeant said, closing the car door. Morrison turned back to me. Ms. Harvey, regardless of the validity of the allegations, we still need to determine how you obtained that video footage. Some of it appears to have been recorded without consent. I'll answer all your questions, I said, but not here and not without a lawyer. Fair enough. We'll need you to come to the station. As they led me toward a police car, I caught sight of my parents through the hotel windows. Mom was crying, Dad's arm around her shoulders. They looked older somehow, diminished. The foundation had been their legacy, their contribution to the world. Now it was all crashing down. Jennifer. Brian caught my arm as I reached the car. I'm sorry. For everything. You were right about her, about all of it. I know. What happens now? I looked back at the hotel, at the chaos I'd unleashed, at the family I'd destroyed. Now we deal with the consequences. The police station smelled like stale coffee and disinfectant. I sat in an interview room for 3 hours before Atticus's lawyer finally arrived. A sharp-eyed woman named Patricia, who looked like she could argue with God and win. Don't say anything until I review the evidence they have, she told me. And Jennifer? What you did tonight. It took guts. Detective Morrison returned with a thick folder and a digital recorder. Ms. Harvey, let's start from the beginning. How did you first become aware of your sister's alleged criminal activity? Patricia nodded, giving me permission to speak. 6 months ago, I was helping a kid from the youth shelter apply for a program that was supposed to be funded by our foundation. When I called to check on his application, they told me the program had been canceled due to lack of funding. But the foundation's website still listed it as active? Yes, along with 3 other programs that had supposedly been canceled for the same reason. Morrison made notes. What did you do next? I started asking questions. I have friends who work at various shelters and youth programs around the city. Turns out, a lot of foundation-funded programs had been quietly shut down over the past year. So you decided to investigate? I decided to find out where the money was going. Patricia leaned forward. Detective, my client was acting in the public interest. She uncovered evidence of significant fraud. We're not disputing that, but some of this evidence was obtained through questionable means. Morrison pulled out a transcript. This phone conversation, for instance. How did you record it? I looked at Patricia, who nodded again. Robin called me 2 weeks ago, drunk. She was bragging about how easy it was to fool everyone, how she'd been skimming money for months. I recorded it on my phone. Without her knowledge? She was confessing to stealing from children. I thought people should know. And the security footage? Kevin Ford, the journalist I was working with, obtained that through a source at the building where Robin meets her partner. Morrison's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and frowned. Excuse me for a moment. He stepped outside, leaving me alone with Patricia. How much trouble am I in? I asked. Honestly, probably not much. The evidence you uncovered is solid, and the public interest defense is strong. The worst you're looking at is a misdemeanor wiretapping charge, and even that's unlikely. What about Robin? Your sister is looking at multiple felony counts. Embezzlement, fraud, conspiracy. She's going away for a long time. Morrison returned, his expression grim. Ms. Harvey, I need to inform you that your parents have just filed a restraining order against you. The words hit like a physical blow. What? They're claiming you've been harassing them and their family members. The order prohibits you from contacting them or coming within 500 feet of their residence. Patricia's jaw tightened. On what grounds? Apparently, your mother collapsed at the hospital after tonight's events. She's claiming emotional distress caused by your actions. My actions? I exposed a criminal. I'm just telling you what's been filed. You'll have a chance to contest it in court. My phone had been buzzing constantly. Patricia handed it to me. Dozens of missed calls, hundreds of text messages. Most were from reporters, but some were from people I knew. Yvette. Saw the news. You're a hero. Call me. My old supervisor from the youth center. Proud of you, kid. Those children deserve justice. But mixed in were messages from family friends, people from my parents' social circle. How could you destroy your own family? Your parents are devastated. You should be ashamed. Detective, Patricia said, unless you're planning to charge my client, we're done here. Morrison closed his folder. You're free to go, Ms. Harvey. But don't leave town. We may have more questions. Outside the police station, dawn was breaking over the city. Patricia walked me to her car. Where can I drop you? I assume you can't go home. I'll figure something out. Jennifer, you did the right thing tonight. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. She drove away, leaving me standing on the sidewalk with nowhere to go. I called Yvette. Thank God, she said when she picked up. I've been worried sick. Where are you? Downtown. Can you pick me up? Already in the car. Stay put. While I waited, I watched the morning news on my phone. Robin's arrest was the lead story on every channel. The footage from the gala was playing on loop. Robin's face when the video started, her breakdown on stage, her screaming at me in the parking lot. Harvey Foundation scandal rocks city's elite, read one headline. Golden child's fall from grace, read another. My phone rang. Unknown number. Jennifer Harvey? Yes? This is Sarah Chen from Channel 7 News. We'd like to interview you about... I hung up. The phone immediately rang again. Different reporter, same request. Yvette's car pulled up just as a news van rounded the corner. Get in, she shouted. I dove into the passenger seat as cameras started rolling. Yvette peeled away from the curb, leaving the reporters behind. Jesus, Jennifer, What have you done? What I had to do. Your parents are all over the news. Your mom's in the hospital. Your dad's talking about disowning you publicly. I know. And Robin, they're saying she could get 20 years. Good. Yvette glanced at me. You don't sound happy about it. I stared out the window at the city waking up. Somewhere out there, kids were going to breakfast programs that might actually have funding now. Homeless teenagers were sleeping in shelters that wouldn't mysteriously close due to budget shortfalls. I am happy about it, I said finally. I'm just not sure it was worth the cost. The coffee shop near Yvette's apartment had become my unofficial office. I'd been staying on her couch since the night of the gala, fielding calls from reporters and lawyers, while the Harvey family name dominated headlines across the country. Another one, Yvette said, sliding a newspaper across the table. Robin pleaded guilty to avoid trial. 15 years. I stared at the headline. Harvey Foundation, heiress sentenced in embezzlement scandal. Below it was a photo of Robin in handcuffs, her designer clothes replaced by an orange jumpsuit. How do you feel about it? Yvette asked. Like I should feel something more than I do. My phone buzzed. Kevin, the journalist who'd helped me gather evidence. Turn on Channel 12, he texted. Now. Yvette grabbed the remote and switched to the local news. A reporter stood outside the downtown courthouse. In a surprising development, the Harvey Foundation's board of directors announced today that they're restructuring the organization under new leadership. Atticus Stone, the foundation's former financial advisor, will serve as interim director while they implement new oversight measures. The camera cut to Atticus standing at a podium, looking tired but determined. Our first priority is restoring the funds that were stolen from vulnerable children and families, he said. We've recovered approximately 60% of the embezzled money, and we're working with law enforcement to trace the rest. Mr. Stone, a reporter called out, what's your response to critics who say the entire foundation should be shut down? The Harvey Foundation has done genuine good work for over 2 decades. Yes, we failed in our oversight responsibilities, but shutting down would punish the communities we serve. Instead, we're implementing transparency measures that will prevent this from happening again. What about Jennifer Harvey's role in exposing the fraud? Atticus paused, looking directly into the camera. Jennifer Harvey is a hero. She risked everything to protect children who couldn't protect themselves. This community owes her a debt of gratitude. My phone exploded with notifications. Social media, news alerts, text messages. Holy shit, Yvette said, scrolling through Twitter. Look at this. She showed me her screen. Jennifer Harvey hero was trending. Hundreds of posts from social workers, teachers, parents, and kids who'd been helped by programs that were supposed to have been defunded. Thank you for fighting for us when no one else would, read one post. My daughter got into college because of a scholarship that was supposed to be canceled. Thank you for making sure the money went where it belonged, read another. The coffee shop door chimed, and Brian walked in. I hadn't seen him since the night at the police station. He looked like he'd aged 5 years in the past few weeks. Can we talk? He asked. Yvette squeezed my shoulder. I'll be at the counter if you need me. Brian sat down across from me, his hands wrapped around a coffee cup like he was trying to warm himself. I testified at Robin's sentencing hearing yesterday, he said. I heard. I told them everything I knew, everything I suspected. It wasn't much, but, he shrugged, I should have spoken up sooner. Why didn't you? Because I was a coward. Because I wanted to believe that someone could be perfect, that I could have the life I thought I deserved. He looked up at me. I was wrong about everything. About Robin, about success, about what matters. Brian, I'm not trying to get back together, he said quickly. I know that ship has sailed. I just wanted you to know that you were right. About everything. And I'm sorry it took me so long to see it. He stood to leave, then paused. For what it's worth, I think what you did was brave. Braver than anything I've ever done. After he left, I sat alone with my coffee and watched the news coverage continue. The Harvey family mansion was up for sale. Dad had resigned from his corporate boards. Mom was in therapy, according to the tabloids. My phone rang. Unknown number, but I recognized the area code. It was from the youth center where I used to work. Jennifer, this is Marcus. Marcus Williams. You helped me get into the college prep program 3 years ago. I remembered him, a quiet kid from foster care who'd been aging out of the system. Marcus, how are you? I'm good. Really good. I'm a sophomore at State now, studying social work. I saw the news about what you did, and I just wanted to call and say thank you. You don't need to thank me. Yes, I do. That program you helped me get into? It was funded by the Harvey Foundation. If you hadn't exposed what your sister was doing, programs like that would have kept disappearing. Kids like me would have kept falling through the cracks. How did you get my number? Yvette gave it to me. She said you might need to hear from someone whose life you actually saved. We talked for 20 minutes about his classes, his plans to become a social worker, his hope to help other kids like himself. When we hung up, I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks. Peace. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Check your email. You'll want to see this. A friend. I opened my email app. The message had no text, just an attachment. A scanned document labeled Harvey Foundation Internal Audit, 1998. I opened it and started reading. My blood ran cold. The document detailed financial irregularities from 25 years ago. Missing funds, questionable transfers, shell companies. And at the bottom, a signature I recognized. Dad's signature. Robin hadn't been the first Harvey to steal from the foundation. She'd learned from the best. I stared at the document, my hands shaking. The story wasn't over. It was just beginning. But this time, I knew exactly what I had to do. I picked up my phone and called Kevin. I have another story for you, I said when he answered. And this one's going to bring down the whole family tree. Some people say revenge is a dish best served cold. They're wrong. Revenge is best served with a side of justice and a promise that the truth, no matter how buried, will always find its way to the light.